One challenge that still, I think, hasn't been addressed that much, and it's something I'm not that experienced with, but which is more finding a way to make the local foods accessible to everyone, because the price is rising. It's rising everywhere, but a lot of places the global supplies are being somewhat subsidized. Right. And the local foods aren't necessarily being subsidized, so I think that's an issue as well. The movement for local purchasing is a combination of things. It's a combination of higher costs, but also of the fact that people are losing jobs. And so I think a lot of people see local production as a way to increase jobs and support the local economy.
As an example, so we provide a lot of jobs and education, culinary education, and keep money local, promote local farming by buying from local farmers, promote local meat production by buying local meats, etc., etc.
This area, this valley used to have a lot of canneries, and a lot of food was produced, and it was preserved, and it was sold locally, which is what I think a lot of people want to have happen again. Mm-hmm. But it requires a lot of infrastructure and money to regain all those facilities that were needed. Well, I think one of the things is that there's a demand, which is sort of the first necessity. There's a lot of people who are aware and interested and wanting to purchase local foods, because if you're in a place where that's not the case, the farmers aren't going to be able to sell to people. My understanding is that a lot of different farmers are focusing on smaller scale production, and of course there's a lot of organic farmers in the area, but even within that, I imagine that a lot of them are focusing on particular tactics for water conservation and other things like that. You know, I think it depends on the farm itself.
And it makes more sense for farmers to do more of fewer things in a sense of efficiency.
There's a group of people that are encouraging some of the larger grass seed farmers in the valley to start growing beans and grains. And there's a demand, somewhat of a demand for the beans and grains. And it's also, the benefits to the grass seed farmers are many, one of them being that they could transition to agricultural or organic practices, which would also, which would benefit their farms, and growing the food would be sort of the impetus for them to do that, because they have a market for it as long as it's organic. And I know that some of those farmers are wanting to make a change, but they haven't found the right avenue. So that's one way in a larger scale I think that change is happening. I don't necessarily like the large-scale agricultural practices that are happening, and even now I'm learning a lot more about the erosion of soil and the destruction of land, and I see lots of positive solutions, and so that's part of why I see the local food movement as a positive solution to a lot of different problems that we're dealing with right now.
The interesting thing about the American sensibility is that every year Americans feel like it has to get better and better, a little bit better. We have to do something different, new and improved, and larger, bigger, smoother, shinier, dries faster, etc., etc.